and Ake, and their LAN experience comes into play here. They've been in the LAN environment, so they're really good at kind of in this situation what they should do, how the pressure gets handled by their team. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how the LAN environment affects rest of the players.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be very, very interested as well to see if Blur, the Italian stallion, as he is apparently known, can show off his horse-like tendencies and run away with the game.
Well, it's definitely gonna have to be. It's definitely gonna have to be a fast game if they want to do that, as horses are really fast and powerful.
Really,
we're gonna have to see.
That's it. Okay. All right. I'm excited. The Arcanas are apparently being sorted out, I believe. Some of these players are taking a moment to make sure they have exactly the right pages coming onto these studio accounts. Maybe they didn't have time to set them up beforehand. So they'll be setting those up now, and once they're to their liking, I assume we'll be able to launch right into the draft. But it's very important that you get those Arcanas set up the way you like, because they make a small difference, but it can be noticeable.
Italian stallion is finding the horse power in the Arcanas there.
Wow. I'm done with you. I don't think we can come back from that.
But yeah, the Arcanas definitely help the players out because it gives them the ability to gain a little bit of an advantage over the enemies. If you have correct Arcanas, of course, you need to make those
for
pages.
Your specific character. I mean, it is basically just customization, and well, we're going to see hopefully the customization they want from the beginning.
Yes, it's definitely going to be interesting to see what they emphasize on. And it's one of those things that Arcanas really brings forth is the early game, right? It boosts the early game damage a little bit, or gives you more tankiness in the early game phase when you really need it. So the Arcanas are definitely one way of actually trying to outplay your enemy even before the game starts.
I have a bit of a question, because I know you've played on stages with similar setups to this, and it's always kind of bugged me as a caster. I've never had to experience this. The situation where you have in-ear earpods and then the big sound-cancelling earmuffs over the top, does that hurt your ears?
No. Most of the time it doesn't. You have to have good in-ears. It is usually really comfortable wearing those and the in-ears, so I haven't had any problems with it, but I can definitely see how some people might have problems with it.
I mean, it's unrelated to the game, but just as a non-sequitur, it always kind of bugged me.
Well, considering the fact that if you have a disruptive factor in the real world, it can affect your gameplay here. So definitely being the most comfortable you can have is really a key in bringing forth that inner demon that could potentially carry away the game.
We're big on inner demons today. However, the outer demon that Sweden have to face is the fact that their non-pro team has now failed twice in a row to find 3 points on stage. And this begins to add up, I think, against the Swedish talent team, because they need to now, I don't want to say carry, but that is accurate. They need to carry the non-pro team, keep them relevant in this competition, and hope that later on that non-pro team can continue their gradual improvement. We are now into the pick ban phase, so you should be able to see picks and bans coming through. Early on, Murad ban, that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, but we have to consider the fact here that if the Swedish non-pro, well, the influencer team does carry them through this week as well, Swedish team has had more time to practice. And then coming in next week facing UK, they've had more practice, and after that, we talked briefly in the beginning of the segment we had, is that the 12 points really are the golden place you want to be for qualifying to DreamHack. So nothing is lost for the Swedish players yet if their influencers can take this win home.
Yeah, it is now mostly on them, though. The map or the character draft is coming through. Ooh. What do you make of this? I can hear the is that related to Dread's pickup here?
It is related to Italy pickups, because we don't see Malak as well as Crixie are those characters we don't see that often in the non-pro games.
Hey,
so it's definitely interesting.
You told the Italian stallion to bring out his inner demon, and I dare say he did.
Well, yeah, they're bringing the demons to the battlefield straight here from the get-go. The game one, they're bringing all that they have.
Against them, much more standard draft, I think, from the Swedes. I know they've been practicing hard with their non-pro team, definitely playing a few games here and there during our little pre-game or pre-show situation over when we were eating lunch, and earlier when people were kind of filtering around. There were a ton of good games being played, and the Swedes were leading the way. They had a competitive huddle going on.
Yeah, the Swedish side was practicing really hard before the games. So we're going to have to see if that practice does pay off here. Hopefully it does for them, because that keeps their hopes alive for this tournament going forward, because right now there won't be any more influencer matches for the Swedish side.
Yeah.
So it's definitely going to be only online matches, and it's going to be up to the Swedish players to take it from here.
We need to hope, or the Swedes need to hope, that the influencer matches influenced their team play in the future. Opposing them, we have had a full draft line out, and that's gotten progressively more sensible, more interesting, though, is fair. I was going to say more sensible because those bottom three characters, Mina, Valheim, etc., those make sense. We see those fairly often. But in the team composition?
Well, the team composition that they have, yeah, the 5 picks, it's looking really great in the sense of casting, because it is a really interesting composition here. We don't get to see it that often, but they bring it forth and they're confident and they can use it to potentially take game 1.
You can see the drafts on screen if you're curious about anything. Player inside running at Valheim. I'm going to keep an eye on that. The Valheim, very, very capable early game DPS character, and I think it's crucial to point out the player inside is running a pretty awesome skin for Valheim, which I can only take to mean that he's played a lot of them.
Yeah, he could be played a lot of Valheim. Definitely practice makes perfect, and hopefully he has practiced a lot of Valheim, because Valheim is a really good character. We saw French using it last week in the mid lane, so that is definitely something to keep in mind as for now we have these lanes developing.
Yeah, I'm going to be keeping an eye as well for the Italian side on how well they can hold these lanes, because I really do feel like they're going to lack late game power. As the game develops, they're going to be out jungled just with the composition they have. Do you disagree?
The Italian side?
Yes.
I would not say that's the case, because the further this game...
disagree.
The further this game goes on, the more Mina will come online, Malak will come online, these AD carries will ramp up their items. It's progressively going to get harder and harder for the Swedish side to do something about this, because they have mostly the early game damage. So I would say it's Swedish team has to perform to the highest standard in order to win the late game.
Well, we'll see how things progress. You can see actually an early amount of pressure from the Swedes. They're able to get a little bit of jungle, and they actually threatened Blur, the Italian stallion himself, bottom lane. Blur, though, he took issue with that, and now he'll reaggress.
Yeah, Blur is going to be there fighting with Marza, who are going on to try and Loda there. They're trying to find the fight. They can't really do it. And an interesting note here, Italian side has gone for a kind of unconventional 2-1-2, as they have Marza playing Jorn as the jungler. So we haven't seen that. So that is definitely an interesting thing that we are seeing in this game.
Yeah, well, I was going to say that's a new strategy. That is a weird strategy, and I look forward to seeing if Marza can make it work. Already Dietrich and Loda will be pressuring Blur bottom lane and finding a decent amount of success.
Top lane.
And player inside, though, they're having issues, but oh, here comes Forsen. He's going to create all kinds of trouble.
Yeah, the stun comes through. Player inside is being focused slowly but surely. He's going to fall here. Forsen with the last hit as they claim first blood. Swedish side takes the first blood, and now Spirit Sentinel off the back of that to further their gold lead, which is already 1,000 even further.
That was beautiful coordination. Forsen and Arcane came through up bottom, were able to isolate the player who just leaned out the teeniest bit too far and shut him down. And now Loda and Dietrich, they're pushing bot line.
Great, and Loda, yeah, are indeed putting turret pressure down on bottom. Blur is going to have a difficult time because he's lost so much life. Has to be careful that he doesn't get dove in the bottom.
You know, when they first said Italian Stallion, I thought it was pretty hilarious. Ever since then, though, it's grown on me. Like, it makes sense now. It's really fun to say.
Well, he is a stallion and his name is Blur, so he's fast.
Uh-huh. Okay. No, that makes sense.
So that could only go one way for Italy, and that's they take a fast victory over the Sweden.
Well, unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be working just yet as Loda uses that eagle eye bottom lane on Tel'Nas to shut down the tower. Again, the first noticeable victory, I think, for the Swedes. They are now on the board with a significant gold lead. And Forsen and Ake, they're looking for Dread.
Forsen is going to put a little bit of damage down on the Dread. Doesn't really gank with invisibility. That's not something we see from these teams. Usually happening, because you usually want to gank with the invisibility that Wukong has. But they're going to do a pincer movement down on bottom. Blur is going to be caught out here. Forsen misses the stun. Is not going to be able to do it as Marza comes in for the backup, and Blur is going to be able to survive this, as Italian side now has to be careful. The Abyssal Dragon is being taken here by the Swedish side. They looked so good last week with the objective control, and they're keeping this pattern. They're controlling the objectives really well.
And Loda now goes in hard. He's initiating here on Telenas. The rest of his team will come through immediately after, and Marza's going to fall instantly.
Blur jumping away with Chuck to safety. Saves himself.
He was a Blur very far away from his teammate who needed help.
Yeah, it was literally a blur in that team fight as he disappeared in a blink of an eye. As Drake and Ake are going to come to middle. Dread takes 2 turns out. Will Ake be able to find the kill? As he is going to get the knockback, but they do not find the damage necessary to bring down Dread. Meanwhile, Wukong is going to pick a kill onto Malak down bottom.
Yeah, that's Blur unfortunately falling, even after his great tactical retreat earlier. Dread will be holding the mid lane for now, but his tower's already taking damage, and Marza here might have a duel versus Forsen. This could be favourable if he's able to leverage his turret.
They need to rotate more people in there, because Marza cannot take a level 8 Forsen there. He is out-leveling. He's being out-leveled hard, so Jorn can't really take that 1v1.
I'll trade you my level 8 Forsen for your level 6 Marza.
Marza is level 5 just now, hasn't quite reached level 6 yet, as Dread is gonna back off.
Bad bargain, then.
You can't make that bargain, as Dread is gonna be focused here, but Drake does not get the knockback necessary for Ake to follow that one up, as Swedish side are grouping up in the middle lane. They're looking for the aggression here, as Marza is going to be initiated on under turret. Dread's going to be stunned up, but ultimate from Ake. Will they find a kill? Ake's going to dive this. Will he get it? Yes, he will, as Ake is on the run. Loda now, as well as the Swedish side are looking at this mid tier 1 tower.
That was a great initiation. They're going to follow up with another one. Blur, he comes through entirely too late. He's able to bail out. Once again, he has no time for being caught. But look at this top lane here. Flaren Side and his buddy, I dare say they're a bit aggressive, and I think the Swedes agree with me.
Yeah, Swedish side have rotated people up top now. The Metamorphosis is going to run out. They're trying to use that one in the middle to try to catch Blur, who was literally a blur. Again, running away with the shock ultimate, getting to safety, so he was able to escape there. As Telenas has to be careful in middle, because there's 3 people there.
There's pressure hard, and Crunch will go down. Dietrich, Forsen are there, grabbing that kill. Now player inside has almost no hope of holding this tower 1v3, and actually he's getting flanked on. He needs to run now.
The pincer movement by Forsen is going to be there. Stunned by Illumia comes through. Ake with a beautiful timing there. They find a kill. Forsen picks that one up, but he's going to lose his life in the process, as he's giving the shutdown streak to Valheim.
That does give a nice little gold bonus, but the Swedes elsewhere are being carefully clinical. And, well, the Forsen's clinic is in full operation, and I think it's for profit. So, unlike the Swedish healthcare system, they're making a tremendous profit as their gold lead builds up and they continue to leverage this map control.
Yeah, Swedish side is looking like surgeons here. They're literally being so precise on how they do the enemy in the jungle, as they are trying to find the monetization lead, and taking those buffs off the enemy definitely helps them a lot, because those are not going to be in the hands of the enemy.
Dietrich will need to play careful here, but the top line is where the real threat is. I'm curious, Sana, you've got the teeniest bit aggressive. Just looking at the mini-map, maybe you're a couple miles ahead of the rest of your team.
Oh, Forsen and Ake are going to come in. The Italians out of zone. Marza falls so quickly. The damage is absolutely insane coming through from Ake and Forsen. They're going to dive even further. They find the second kill. This time around, Forsen is not going to lose his life to the turret. Meanwhile, middle lane, Ray is fighting versus Dread here, who does fall in the mid lane, as Swedish side across the map, they're picking up these kills.
I'd like to take everything back. I criticized Sana for maybe getting a bit too aggressive. It turns out it was all part of the plan. It was a bait. Forsen comes through, they pick up the kills, and now they're looking for another 2 towers.
Yeah, they're trying to find the gold here necessary for them to advance even further. We can see 8,000 gold lead as once again kills are being picked up in the top and middle part of the map here as they take a middle tower here, and that is all outer towers out for the Swedish side.
Yeah, and it looks like Forsen might go down, but he's found the trade. Okay, though, he needs to be cautious. This could get very bad indeed, and I think it has. He can't get out in time, and now the Italians are back on the board.
Yeah, Italians with a great initiation there. They find a couple of necessary pickoffs, but at the same time, across the map, Swedish side have split up. They're pushing down bottom. They get the tower on the bottom now, and they pick up that money, and even further their gold lead here, which is growing slowly but steadily towards the 10k part.
Yeah, Loda and Datrid will double down on that tower, double down on the kills that they were able to occupy, grab this Abyssal Dragon completely for free. And well, at this point, I think it's safe to say there's a little bit in the bank for the Swedes.
Yeah, the Swedish side are looking so rich now as Dread is going to be caught out.
No.
The Eagle Eye out attacks by Loda. We saw Loda last week on Telanas as well. So strong. Once again, just performing really well here with that character. So it's definitely interesting to see Loda performing to such a high standard on Telanas.
Loda's been terrifying on this character, particularly for somebody who hasn't really played much of him. So I'm quite excited to see a player inside, though. He's dangerous situation.
Yes, a couple of players from the Italian side get picked off from up top as the Swedish side, once again with a great rotation, a quick one at that. They find those couple of kills, and the Italian side are looking for a redemption. Forsen is going to jump in. Marza, oh my god, that damage from Forsen instantly annihilates Marza. No return from Italy. The shock's gonna come out from Blur and the cleave as well, but it's not gonna connect onto anybody. Swedish side is looking for this Dark Flare as Blur is gonna be caught out here. He's gonna fall. Oh my god, Swedish side with impeccable execution. They find the kills and they're on to Dark Slayer now.
I didn't realize Forsen was one of the pros. Dominant damage by him time and time again, and they're going to get Dark Slayer as well. Dark Slayer falls, granting the buff, the damage increase, the slight regen to his entire team, and now they look for this team fight 5v3 with the Dark buff.
They're looking to go in, the stun coming through from Lomi, the ultimate lands onto Gro, who's gonna go down. Dread is in the midst of the enemy team, he's gonna find damage as Dre's gonna jump in. The Metamorphosis is onto both running players, player inside, and Forsen is gonna be able to jump or will clean that one up. Blur is the last man surviving. There's 5 members from the Swedish side. They're gonna clean it up and quite possibly get this turret here.
This could be game. They're going in now. They're considering that final base. Loda will go and get tons of damage actually with the Eagle Eye. They're just waiting on these minions. This is basically game. Here goes the team trying to contest, and they will be able to finally take down the base. The Swedes look dominant in game 1, 22-4. And it's a Swedish flag flying over the first game.
Yeah, Swedish side looking so strong. Like last week, they start off really strong. We're gonna have to see how the Italian side does redeem themselves in game 2.
And they look thrilled, as you can see on stream. Loads of celebration, champagne everywhere. Actually, kind of a muted response from the Swedes. They came here to do business. Slight smiles allowed, but that's all. They're dead serious.
Yeah, they're really focused on the game and task at hand. They need to bring those 3 points home for the Swedish side.